When I think of your clothes, I think of a very sort of relaxed take on, like I said, on masculine glamour, and it's a southern fried swagger that I think, very much owes its existence to the South. And anyone who's remotely familiar with your brand knows that you're very much a company that is in New York, but really based and works in Florence, Alabama, near Muscle Shoals. But walk me through how you ended up in Florence, Alabama in the beginning.
I ended up there through my wife. We were living in New York. I'd started my collection in '98. Had 3 shows. We had won a CFDA award in between that time, and then I had a runway show that was September 10th before the terrorist attacks, and everything just started to unravel for us business-wise after that, and we moved to Alabama, which is my wife's hometown in Florence, Alabama, and that's how I ended up there. Losing the business was certainly one of the biggest learning experiences I've ever had to go through. You learn so much more from your mistakes than you do your successes. And knowing you can get through it, it gives you a resilience.
Am I drawing too much of a bow to suggest that that was instilled in you at a young age by your grandmother? Do you want to talk to me a little bit about her?
Yeah, my grandmother was a single parent to my mom, and then my mom was a single parent to me. My mom, she was 18 when I was born. So these 2 women provided a lot of strength throughout my life. And my mom was the coolest lady. She's not dead. She is a cool lady. Let's call her right now, shall we? She was a valedictorian of her class, so she was the smartest lady in her class. She had a big scholarship to go to Millsaps College in Mississippi, and then she got pregnant. She had me, so that ended that. And a few years later, she opened a clothing store. I always describe it as like steel magnolias set in a clothing store. All these women would come in. It was a gossip central, but she also carried a lot of terrific brands. This was back in the day of Gloria Vanderbilt jeans, Calvin Klein, Sergio Valenti, Jordache, and she was at the forefront of that. And when we began to open shops, the first thing I said is that I just want our stores to feel like my mom's store felt, because when you walked in there, you were set at ease and you felt at home. I think our customer wants a little bit, they want to look like they have something that's unique, but they don't want to look like they're just completely bold and standing out in the crowd. I think there's a little bit of subtlety to that. So we've got an assortment of things here that's mostly things you guys have purchased, but we also just wanted it to kind of be a little bit, also just kind of make this look a little bit relaxed. The code here is a cashmere wool. It's reversible. Now, this is a shirt y'all are doing really well with. Y'all have sold this Pensacola polo like nobody's business. But I also want to just point out, there's some subtle details. If you notice on the pocket, there's a stitch here, and that is at a bias stitch. And that relates back to the ribbon stripe, which is sort of our branding detail. This ribbon is also subtly placed just here on the one side. Here you have a jacquarded wool cashmere sweater, the tiger motif with the 20. Now, this was a graphic in 1998 when I started. It was the year of the tiger. That's why there's a tiger here. This is actually a unisex sweater. We sized this from double extra small to double extra large. The polo underneath is a cotton cashmere, just a little melee stripe that we have. And then this is actually a little knit jacket. It's in boiled wool. So it's constructed like a denim jacket, but it's actually knit. Shirt jackets for us, it seems to be that third piece is doing really well for you guys. And then again with weight, we've tried, this is a cotton silk little sweater, patch pocket. Underneath, he's wearing a super cool shirt. This is actually a photograph of my friend who passed a few years ago, Charles Moore. He was a civil rights photographer. Shirt jacket here we've had in the collection for 6 or 7 years now. It's still one of our better pieces. Here in an indigo suede. Then we have a chambray applique on the thermal knit. And then here, denim shirt, still one of our top 3 items that we've had, still have to this day. Underneath, you have a knit sport jacket. This also has a matching pant, which is not in yet. And then you have the sort of the indigo wax cotton. So as this breaks down, you can just see it, the texture coming out, and then it's also lined. Little pop of the color on the inside here. This is actually a synthetic lining, but it keeps it lightweight, keeps it very warm as well. And then this has removable ring-shaped buttons. So these buttons you can actually take off if you want to. There you go.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. There's always a balance of remaining true to yourself and also evolving. I love making clothes, so we always want to make new things and experiment.